Take it away, Jamie.
Great, thank you, Cynthia. First, if anyone's experiencing noise from the street that's right outside my window, please let me know and I'll try to switch over to headphones so that you can hear better. I'm right on Warren Street and I realize that there's cars and trucks and all sorts of things passing by, so they may interfere. So please don't hesitate to let me know. But again, thank you, Cynthia, for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's a privilege to be with this group. I want to start with our mission statement. The open door exists to serve people at their point of need, cultivating personal growth and community sustainability. We model our faith in Jesus by providing practical solutions to physical, spiritual, and relational brokenness. Now, at the center of our mission is personal growth. We want to, and we desire to, more than anything, meet an individual at their point of need and build them up. Help them to gain the tools, gain the skills that they need so that they can become sustainable individuals. We believe that community sustainability begins with the individual. So it's our goal, first and foremost, to have a development focus, to be a personal growth organization that builds the individual up, encourages them to thrive within the community. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And this will most likely be the shortest PowerPoint presentation you'll ever see. I have 2 slides for everyone. So first, I just want to go over some of the resources and services that we have here at the mission. Our greatest asset is our staff. We have an amazing staff who is on site at 226 Warren Street, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. On this slide, you'll see in the bottom right corner, the resource advocates. We have individuals on site from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Saturday, and they're willing to assist anyone with connecting them to resources within the community. They're willing to assist them with connecting to resources that we have on site. Whatever they're facing, they're welcoming conversation, welcoming relationship. Relationship is one of our core values here in the mission, here at the mission, and we want to build those relationships, those healthy relationships, so that people can navigate the system. In the top right corner, you'll see our community meals. We have community meals on site 7 days a week. We do lunch 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, and then we do dinners Thursday and Sunday night. We welcome anyone to our community meals. Anyone can come in and can utilize that service. We really see that as a gathering place. Again, another place to build relationship with inside the mission, so that we can come alongside of people and meet them at their point of need. Below that, you'll see our food pantry, and we're open 4 days a week, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning. We've just opened for some hours Friday morning. If there's an emergent food need, please don't hesitate to call us outside of those hours, and we'll do our best to fulfill that need. But appointments are encouraged. One thing I'll say about our food pantry is that we've been piloting a partnership with DoorDash. So just recently, we've moved into the working phase of that, and we've set some parameters around that relationship, hopefully so that the relationship is beneficial for both parties. But if you have individuals that are without food and they lack transportation, they lack the ability to get to and from the mission, please don't hesitate to call us. Call the mission, use extension 250. That's our food services manager. What she will do is she'll set up a delivery, and we're trying to pool deliveries at the end of the day, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, when our food pantry closes, so that the DoorDash drivers benefit from that pooling of deliveries. So we're trying to, again, pool those deliveries. Don't hesitate to call us. Again, if there's an emergent need and somebody lacks transportation, we'll do everything in our power to set them up with a DoorDash delivery so that they can get food, the food that they need, the nourishment that they need. I'm going to skip across the form to the day room. Our day room at the mission is something we see as a gathering place for our community members. It's open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Individuals can come in. We have 4 iPads in the day room. They can use the iPads to get on the internet and search whatever they'd like to. There's showers, there's laundry, both by sign up, and both showers and laundry, there are sign up hours outside of those hours that are listed there, the 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So if somebody can't get here between 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., they're welcome to sign up for a shower or laundry outside of that time frame. That's just the time frame we're open. That said, the summer months, sometimes it gets warm, so we will open up our facilities as a cooling center when the heat index gets above 95 degrees. So please don't hesitate to call us if those temperatures are getting up, and we'll let you know if we're open as a cooling center. I want to move on to the Life Path program, and the Life Path program is our transitional shelter program. They're synonymous, they're one and the same, and it's something that really has that development focus, that personal growth emphasis. It is not an emergency shelter. There are expectations for an individual when they come into the Life Path program, but that said, we believe that this framework that I'll take you through right here really gives the individual options to address their individual needs. And we believe that this framework really communicates dignity through choice and really is inclusive. So these are the 8 steps of our Life Path program. I'll say this as a caveat. These steps do not need to be completed in order. Not everyone is going to need all 8 of these steps. There's a lot of ways to adapt this to fit the individual, but I'll take you through them one by one, and then I'll show you how we can adapt them a little bit to fit the individual's needs. So the first step is the first 2 weeks that the program participant is here with us at the mission. They're getting acclimated to the mission. They're getting to know how to get around, what some of the expectations are. They're going to meet with the Life Path coach weekly, which is basically a caseworker who will help them to establish goals and to accomplish goals. They'll get to know the resource advocates. The resource advocates are also available for them. They'll get to know what the classes and small groups on site look like and what the schedule is, and they'll just get acclimated to the environment. Step 2 is for those that wrestle with chemical dependency. Step 2 is sober. So in step 1, we'll do drug and alcohol testing. If somebody tests positive for a substance, they'll do a drug and alcohol assessment. We partner with Baywood to do those assessments. Baywood is in the facility once every 2 weeks, so we can get an assessment done very quickly. And if an individual tests positive and Baywood feels it's appropriate that they pursue treatment, an individual will enter step 2. They'll enter step 2 and address their sobriety as a priority. We offer meetings on site, but we will take the recommendation of the organizations that specialize in that drug and alcohol treatment as what the individual should follow. Step 3 is sort of the meat of the program here at the mission. And it's the opportunity for the individual to take time and really get mentally and emotionally stable. We give the individual a good amount of time in these first 3 steps to really get their feet underneath them. We offer classes on site in step 3 stable, based around life skills and building resilience. We offer financial classes. We offer ACE overcomers from time to time, and the recovery groups on site. We do a day, a morning and an evening support group, which is really just a simple 10-minute support group that addresses what do you have going on in the day? How can you help someone? How can others help you? Addresses that interdependence, learning to depend on others in a healthy way. So that's really what step 3 is about, stable. These first 3 steps that you see on this form are phase 1 of the program. And if somebody chooses to utilize those, they can take up to 6 months to be in those first 3 steps. Beyond that, step 4 is schooled for individuals that want to pursue education, maybe their GED, or maybe beyond that, maybe they want to go back to college, whatever it may be. Step 4 is really around schooling and that pursuit. Step 5 is for skill certifications. If an individual wants to pursue a plumbing certification or an electrician certification, they can go into that step, step 5. Step 6 is about getting a living wage job. We emphasize living wage jobs here at the mission so that we can break that cycle of poverty. And step 6 focuses in on getting a living wage job, building a resume, maybe finding out what do I like to do? What are my skills? What are my strengths? There's opportunities to meet with a financial coach and create a financial plan in step 6. Step 7 is about obtaining whatever living situation is appropriate for the individual, working towards finding appropriate long-term housing. And then step 8 is about giving back to the community. We put an emphasis on service and what that does for an individual and how that encourages an individual to grow. So this is the framework for our Life Path program. And again, it's synonymous with our transitional shelter program. Anyone that enters the transitional shelter will come into this program. Now, the individual has choices in step 1, and they have choices as far as what track they pursue. There's 2 tracks. There's the Life Path track, which gives them the option to all 8 of these steps. And then there's the back to work track. Quite often we have individuals hit the transitional shelter and they want to get back to work. The back to work track would look like this. They would go into step 1, and then they would go to step 6, and they would start to pursue employment, and they would go that route. Some of the other options within this, some of the ones that I've seen, we've had an individual come into our program who just needed to get his KSAC certification back in order. So he basically went from step 1 to step 5 to get his certification back up to date. Quite often, well, in a few instances, we've had elderly individuals enter the program, and they've gone from step 1 to step 7. Let's look for housing that is appropriate to care for their needs. So this framework offers a really great structure, but is very adaptable for the individual. The length of stay is based on the individual's choices and what they want to do. And it really gives them options, which we believe communicates dignity for the individual. We do an application for this programming, and we do have a waiting list right now. I'd be happy to share the application with anyone at any time if that's something you're interested in having on hand. We do a screening process just to find out where the individual is at, most importantly, so they know the expectations of the program and what we do here at Open Door Mission. Currently, we have 13 beds. We have 10 for men and 3 for women. But as many of you, I'm sure know, we are in the midst of construction, and we are very close to having the 3rd floor of the mission completed, where we will house 52 men. And when we do that, we will open up some of the beds, most likely on the ground floor for women, and expand our women's program simultaneously. I do not have an exact date for the start of that. Our hope and goal is to have something open this fall, so we can begin to do that. But there's a lot of variables in that equation. So bear with us as we try to get that open. We do want to open more programming for the community. That's another one of our goals for the future. We want to open some of our classes and our small groups to the community, and not just be an just serve those that are in our program through those things. That's definitely another goal that we have. We are building out our 2nd floor. We are building on the ground floor, and we have a great vision for this mission. I would encourage you, if you want to see the mission, to stop in, to call us, to set up a tour with our executive director, Dean Brown. Dean Brown would love the opportunity to take you around the mission, show you what we are doing here, get your eyes on it, take a look at it. I would really encourage that. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or to Dean, and we'd be happy to answer any questions at any time. And I'll just open it up from there for questions on this group.
I'm going to pause this for just 1 second. Hang on. I can figure out where to. Okay, our next presenter is going to be Jason and Tanya from the White House. The mission of White House is to provide stability to youth who present as homeless. This is accomplished through the immediate provision of coordinated services, reunification of families when appropriate, and the provision of supervised emergency and transitional housing with a goal of personal responsibility and self-sufficiency. White House services include crisis shelter service programs, transitional living program, anti-trafficking program, street outreach program, permanent housing program, care management program, independent living skills program, and intensive case management services. All right, so Jason and Tanya, take it away.
Thank you, Cynthia. Appreciate everybody's time today and appreciate being here. And Jamie, thank you for that presentation. That was amazing. You guys are doing really great work over there. And many of you may not know, but we do work well with Open Door on one of our ESG grants, and they do amazing work. So thank you, Jamie. So, you know, many of you have heard of White House. White House has been around since 2003. It was started by a group of local business people in the late 90s, 1999 to be exact, and they formed the Warren Washington County Homeless Youth Coalition. Through that coalition, they were able to purchase property at 10 Waite Street in Glens Falls and open up the area's first emergency shelter for adolescents. So White House serves adolescents ages 16 to 24. We have several different programs inside the shelter and out. When youth call the shelter for the emergency crisis services, youth are able to come in, they're able to stay for 60 days. We can extend them for 120. The services that we provide for the emergency shelter services are very similar to what Open Door does, only with this is a focus on adolescents. So many times our youth come to us, they have been either run away from home or have been asked to leave their home. We've seen during COVID that many families just cannot maintain taking care of their children. So we have, you know, youth that have come to us during COVID, more or less for respite and to help the families as well. So when a youth arrives at the White House, of course, you know, as a 16-year-old young person, that's pretty intimidating to come to a shelter. So we try to make White House very open and inviting, very warm and inviting. When the youth come to our shelter, we make sure that their bed is ready for them, that they have the personal care items that they need. You know, many times they haven't eaten in a couple days, they haven't showered in a couple days. So we really want them to get settled in and to feel at home. And it's amazing to me when I see these young people come to the shelter and they're just so broken. You know, it's very scary for a young person to be out on the street and alone and not have any support. So when they come in, you know, they're not quite sure if they want to be there, but so many times that's their last option. You know, so I always make a point of going to them and saying, hey, listen, just give it a night. You know, see how you feel after you take a warm shower, see how you feel after you've eaten, and have a good night's sleep. And, you know, we'll talk in the morning. And 90% of the time, the next morning, you can see them and they're smiling. And for the first time, they have hope that things are going to be okay. And when those kids come in, you know, we do our best to, we have a short amount of time to help them get moving forward. Like Jamie said, you know, with many of the people that come to Open Door, they arrive at our door with no birth certificate, no ID, no social security card, sometimes just the clothes on their back. So to get that process started, we really have to start immediately because we are limited in time. So we do intensive case services. We have case managers that work on, you know, getting those essentials for them, you know, getting their IDs, getting their birth certificate, trying to learn more about their situation and how we can help them. We really try to make it person-centered care. You know, all of our youth are individuals and all of them come for different reasons. I can safely say that, you know, since I've been director at the White House, just about 100% of our youth present with some form of mental illness or substance use issue. So we rapidly try to connect them to services. We have recently hired peers to work in-house. So we have one mental health peer and we have one SERPA who is on staff at White House to help with the substance use and mental health concerns that many of our youth are presented with. So our case management services really try to, do the wraparound programming where we are making vocational referrals. We work closely with Warren Washington County Career Center, and Liza and her team over there are really great with our kids. We work with other agencies to make mental health and substance use referrals. But as you know, our community is struggling with that right now. So for many of the youth, for them to get into services takes 6 or 7 weeks or longer. So we do our best to provide support with our peers, with our case management, and with our team at the Wade House to implement as many supports and coping skills as we can with them. So Wade House provides meals for our youth on the emergency shelter side. We do menu planning. We encourage them to help our staff cook the meals for them as part of a life skill. And really focus on that. What is the deficit? What do you need to help you to move forward to the next level? The goal is always to try to find them permanent and safe housing. Reunification with the families is always the number one priority. If it's safe, we want them to be safe and we want them to return home. So we do a lot of mediation with the families. Sometimes it's not the youth that's in crisis, but it's the family in crisis. It's the parents that are in crisis. So we try to connect them to services as well and to try to help them to move forward so they can take care of their kids. And many times that's what happens. Once they're stable and they're well, we're able to safely return the youth to the home, which is the best outcome we can hope for. But if that is not possible, we have permanent housing programs where we work with different grants. We work with the Solutions to End Homelessness grant through Captains. We're a subcontractor for them. So we do have funding to help our youth find a permanent placement and permanent housing if they are not able to return to a family member or back to their home. We also work again with Open Door with the Emergency Services Grant. ESG provides assistance for preventative housing, rapid rehousing, and street outreach. And we do that in many different ways. And we've provided quite a bit of funding to the community to keep people in their homes. That's the main goal. We don't want people to end up leaving their homes and be homeless. So we do a lot of mediation with landlords or housing specialists. Really makes a tremendous effort on a daily basis to keep those relationships with the landlords strong. And we do a lot of case management services around our housing programs. We also do Shelter Plus Care, where we have vouchers from Glens Housing Authority, and we do the case management services for that as well. So we really try to, avoid homelessness for the families and youth, and we try to get to the root issue of why that is. And for many people, it's different. It's different for everybody. Some of our youth come to us because of gender identification. Their family's not accepting of that. They're not accepting of their sexual orientation, so they've been asked to leave the house. We have youth that have run away from home because of a volatile home environment, such as substance use or severe mental illness that they can't take. So we really try to bring them in and make sure that they are stabilized, make sure that they are connected to their school district as much as possible. We work with McKinney-Vento to make sure that they get to school. We have many youth that are still in high school and they live at the shelter and they are picked up every day by their respective school districts to go to school. And if you want to talk about resiliency, that's what these kids do on a daily basis. It's amazing to me that they keep fighting, and we're there to support them. So in 2011, we saw the need for a population, parenting moms of young age, 16 to 24 as well. So we opened up our transitional living program, which is at 12 Wade Street in Glens Falls. So they were identical houses that we combined into one shelter. The independent living program is pretty amazing. It's a 2-year program for young ladies or young men who are parenting or who may be pregnant. And we do intensive case management services with them. I'm happy to say we had one mom who gave birth yesterday to a healthy baby boy, 5 pounds, 6 ounces. She's doing well, the baby's doing well. we asked her what she wanted. We were going to bring her some food, and she chose Panera. So she's, you know, she's doing well. She's in good spirits, and we're happy to support her. So we're preparing the house for a new arrival this week, and we're all very excited about that. We also have 2 2-year-olds, so we're going through the terrible twos on independent living, but it's a lot of fun to see. And what we find with these young ladies and young men who are on the independent living side is that, you know, really our case managers become their parent figures, you know, and our case managers really, they are really amazing because they stick true to the mission, and they really go above and beyond trying to help these young people, you know, through vocational services, parenting classes, just support, you know. We're staffed 24/7, and there's always somebody there to speak to about things that are going on. The independent living side, they are a bit more independent than our emergency services side. Many of them are still in school. Many of them work and provide their own meals for themselves and their baby. And of course, you know, we support them on that, trying to get them connected to services and whatever else, you know, their needs are. Wade House has been consistently full since I've been here. So this is I've been executive director for about 1.5 years, and our shelter's been full. We have put in applications to expand. So we're expecting to expand our rooms any day now to add 2 additional transitional living rooms and 1 additional emergency shelter room or respite room. The respite services we contract with Warren County. So we do weekly, monthly, or daily respite for youth ages 15 to 24. Many times, you know, parents may just need a break. You know, if their family is going through crisis, they may just want, you know, their child to come to us for a couple days, and we're more than willing to help that family out and provide support for the youth, and making sure that they continue to go to school, and making sure that we can help them in any way that they desire, to include, you know, making referrals to counseling, individual counseling and such. So, you know, Wade House, you know, many people when I came on as executive director weren't aware of the many services that we do offer. Outside of the shelter, since expanding the shelter services, we've taken over where Big Brothers Big Sisters used to be at 14 West Notre Dame Street, and we've opened up an outreach center. So the outreach center does many different things. It houses our anti-trafficking office, which I'll talk about in a minute, our permanent housing office, and our care management services. This is also considered a drop-in center where youth can come in, they can pick up personal care items, food, clothing, you know, anything they need. If they just want to get away for the day and come do their homework at the outreach center, we have computers set up for them to do that if they want to apply for jobs, or if they just simply want to just hang out. The door is always open. So we're very excited about that, and it's been quite successful since we've opened, and that was in August of 2021. So going back to anti-trafficking, so we work closely with Warren County and Salvation Army with a few different anti-trafficking grants. So anti-trafficking, we provide case management services and wraparound services to victims, victims, and those who are at risk of being trafficked. You know, many people that I tell this to, they don't realize that in Warren and Washington County, this is a problem. This does happen here in our community, and our anti-trafficking coordinator, Tabby LaRoe, is quite busy. She works closely with different counties to develop resources for these people who need to get away from the perpetrators. You know, our hotline is open 24 hours a day. So anybody who is a victim of trafficking or in risk of being trafficked can call that hotline, and somebody will answer, and we will go meet them where they are, no matter where in the state that they are. The grants are really focused on education as well. So we offer educational opportunities for any agency that wants to learn more about trafficking. Warren County Sheriff's has shown some interest. We're going to be doing a presentation for them in a couple months. We have go to schools to do our presentations, and it's really just to educate not only the students, but the educators, to patrol people, the risks and signs of trafficking. So we work very hard on identifying those victims in our community and trying to connect them to resources. And that goes along with our street outreach program, where we go out and we try to help any youth that's out on the street with personal care items, connecting them to resources. Our outreach coordinator is always willing to meet with them to get them connected to the resources that they need. And many times they just need somebody to talk to, or somebody that cares. I can't speak enough about Tabby. I wish she was on the call right now, but she does amazing work with our youth, and they just have this bond with her where they connect and they keep coming back. So it's quite amazing. So recently we decided that, when our youth leave the shelter, what's next? We discovered that we do have a lot of recidivism. So when a youth comes back to our shelter, what can we do differently this time? So we've decided to implement children's health home care management, which is birth to age 21. Tanya Vasic, who I worked with very closely for many years at Center for Recovery and at Washington County Social Services, jumped right in. She's doing amazing work, and we are up and running and ready to take referrals. So I wanted to pass it over to Tanya to talk a little bit about her program and what she has lined up for the future of White House.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I cannot speak off the top of my head like Jason does. So I've created a presentation. I'm hoping I can share it successfully with everyone. Let's see. Can everyone see that? There we go. Is it up? There we go. Okay. So as Jason said, my name is Tanya Vasic. Jason and I have worked together for many, many, many years on different levels. The Center for Recovery, we both covered contracts at Washington County, which we thoroughly enjoyed. I came over one day to chat with him actually about housing for one of my clients, and he presented this proposal of this care management program to me. I think I thought about it for 30 seconds and said to him, absolutely, I will hop on board with you. So with that being said, I've been here for about 2 months. I came on board on April 4th. We hopped right into it. This is a program that I say to everyone we have built from ground up. Neither of us really know what we're doing, but it's been a lot of learning, a lot of trainings, and I can say today that I'm very confident with the care management services, and I'm excited to start implementing them for White House. So let's see. Our care management staff right now consists of Jason and I. We are being told that we will probably grow very, very quickly, given the fact that referrals will come in pretty quickly. So if there's any questions right now at this point, here's our contact information. Jason is the executive director, myself as the operations manager for care management services. So what is children's care management at the White House? So we've contracted with Adirondack Health Institute, which have been incredibly helpful with the learning process, to provide a health homes children's care management program dedicated to work with members, like Jason said, ages birth to 21. So we have identified the quote unquote children ages birth to 21, but in reality, we're going to be working with the entire family or the entire unity of that child or member, I guess I'm going to say. Caregivers are defined as parents, guardians. If a child is in foster care, we will be working very, very closely with all of the members. And what will we be doing? We are going to identify what is important to that member. It is a voluntary program, and I make sure that everyone understands that. So when we are working on goals, when we are identifying strengths and needs, it's what that member identifies as being important to them. It's not necessarily something that I think they should work on. So I put that in a care plan and say, let's go ahead and do this. It's really what they feel is important. We are here to structure support and services for members. to assist members with becoming independent of support programs, to collaborate with supports and providers, and ultimately to advocate. The mission is to provide a person-centered approach for each member and to advocate for advancements towards self-reliance and self-improvement. So like Jason said, we have people that are leaving the shelter that aren't necessarily completely self-sufficient, completely self-reliant. This is going to be our goal, is to assist them in becoming that. Some of our qualifying criteria, the number one criteria is the member does have to have active Medicaid. If we have someone referred to us and it's found that they don't have active Medicaid, we absolutely will assist them with attempting to get that. If for some reason they're not eligible for Medicaid, I think I have it in my presentation later, we'll work with them to see what other services they can have provided to them. Another qualifying criteria is they have to have 2 chronic conditions. So some examples of that is they have mental health issues, they suffer from substance use disorders, some medical conditions, asthma, diabetes, heart issues. If anyone is in the 85th percentile or higher for BMI, that also constitutes as one of the conditions. Or the member could have HIV or AIDS. They can have 1 severe emotional disturbance or complex trauma. In addition to the others, the individual may have significant behavioral, medical, or social risk factors, which we can also address through care management. As long as we identify that without care management services, this could possibly lead to adverse events, such as risk factors. And I put some, I'm not going to read all of them because we'll take up too much time. My slides are a little bit longer than Jamie's. Who will we be serving in terms of care management? So Jason has proposed, and people hopped right on board. We have 6 counties that are our catch areas. We will be serving Warren, Washington, Saratoga, Essex, Hamilton, and Clinton County. So on any given day, once we have our care management program, or excuse me, care management team, I'm going to say, we will have care management providers all throughout all of these counties. The responsibilities of a health home care manager. So we accept referrals either from AHI or we can enroll them independently. I am working right now with 3 of our residents and they ideally will be enrolled independently. We will identify and provide outreach within the service areas. We will secure any applicable New York State Department of Health consent forms that will allow us for sharing of medical records, encounter data, or other health information with AHI and or other health home networks. So going back to some of those qualifying conditions, obviously we have to have confirmation that they are in fact a condition. So we will work with a lot of our providers within the areas to confirm that. We will conduct a comprehensive assessment for each member. When we have someone ages birth to 21, the assessment form that is utilized is the Child Adolescent Needs and Strength Assessment. So we refer to that as the CANS New York. That actually has been a great deal of our training, a lot of different trainings, a lot of different support services to learn how to use the assessment. What's interesting is if people aren't familiar with the CANS New York, there's a total of 94 areas that we have to cover for the member. However, it speaks as a story. It's not necessarily just a checklist. So ideally, when we start writing up a plan of care for the person, we can go back to that CANS assessment and we can confirm, is this that member's story, which I personally think makes it a little more individualized than just a, run-of-the-mill assessment check form type thing. The CANS is also our billing tool, and it actually spits out the level of acuity. So if they're high, medium, or low, the CANS actually determines that for us. We prepare and maintain a comprehensive plan of care, which I'll speak about. We coordinate care amongst all identified providers, and we will refer to community and social support services. So developing a plan of care. The plan of care must include the individual's stated goals related to treatment, wellness, and recovery. It also absolutely must reflect the individual's strengths and preferences. So that CANS assessment that I was speaking about, it focuses a lot on needs and strengths. which, like I said, will help us identify what exactly does need to be worked on for a member. Our plan of care also must include individually identified goals and desired outcomes. Ideally, we will be reassessing our plan of care every 6 months. That could possibly change in the upcoming months, but as of today, it's a 6-month reassessment tool. Our plan of care must be understandable to the individual receiving the services. So I like to say we're going to write it in their own language. I come from a clinical background, and sometimes clinical notes aren't the easiest to understand. We want to make sure that if we're doing this plan with this individual, with the individual's support team, that they can absolutely understand it. And the plan of care must focus on the total health of the member. Creating goals on our plan of care. So this should be broken down into domains and should strive to, AHI likes to use SMART goals. So what are their interests? What are their wants? What are their needs? What are some personal circumstances of the member? And where can we assist with them? So I also put up a slide, I think. Yeah, so SMART goals. SMART goals are developed with the input of the member and specifically tailored to address the member's needs. So in terms of specific, we identify a task to accomplish a behavior, to accomplish or improve a behavior. I made a couple of extra notes here. So I like to think about who's responsible for this goal, what steps need to be taken for this goal. Ideally, we're going to refer back to the member and have that member responsible for the goal. The next step is measurable. We have to provide a clear measure that indicates how we will know if these goals are being achieved. Going back to that language being spoken. So again, if we have a goal that we want someone to complete in 6 months, we're going to say to ourselves, who can do this in 6 months? Is this realistic? Which brings us to the next, achievable. I completed a training yesterday, and the trainer, he was actually great. He suggested, instead of saying achievable, you say to yourself, let's have a reality check. When we are identifying goals, are they challenging? Are they realistic? Are they practical? Can we achieve these? Realistic, our goals must represent an object toward which that the member is both willing and able to work on. And then timely defines a time frame for completion, either how often will you do a task or when will you have it completed. So I mentioned our assessments are reassessed every 6 months. That doesn't mean we have to have a goal that's going to be achieved in 6 months. It's okay for us on our plan to have a goal where we have a target date of 2 weeks. That shows progression, and ultimately that gives us a member that sense of, I did this. Along with plans of goals, we also have to have emergency plans with care management. So the purpose of our emergency plan is to address planning with the members or their caregivers, their team, what they need to do should they have a home emergency. Some of the questions that we're going to go through is, what would your family do in the event of an emergency, or if you shouldn't feel safe in your home? What is an exit plan if you need to leave immediately? And if in the event of an emergency, where would your family meet up? What would you guys do? So I've actually created forms per county for each member. In the event of an emergency, what am I going to do? And that will actually be linked right along with their plan of care. Frequency and types of services. So as I said with our CANS assessment, that will spit out our level of acuity. So depending on the member's level of acuity will depend on how often we are required to see them. So anyone with a high or medium acuity, we must provide a minimum of 2 billable services per month, one of which absolutely has to be face-to-face. So speaking about all of those counties that we are covering, it will not be uncommon for our care managers to drive to Essex County, to Plattsburgh, a couple of times a month specifically so that they can see their member. Most of us know a lot of times when we make arrangements to visit someone, those arrangements don't always happen. So we do also have to put that into our plan of care. So if we have to have those two, or excuse me, that one face-to-face, we have to give ourselves enough time within that month to make sure that that can happen. Children with low levels of acuity, we have to have a monthly contact. However, face-to-face contact at minimum is just once per quarter. Some other health services that we can, that we will be providing are care management, obviously care coordination and health promotion. If we have to reach out to some of the providers, a comprehensive transitional care plan, member and family support, referral community, and social support services. So a lot of our contacts will also be phone calls to providers, phone calls to resources and referrals to see where we can help out. Access to White House care managers. So ideally, when we have our team, not just Jason and myself, we will have care managers that are assigned to each member based upon their own experiences and qualifications. Care managers will have their normal business hours, whether it's a Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. But also, as per AHI, in the event of a crisis or urgent concern, care management access will be available telephonically 24/7. We don't really have that ironed out just yet in terms of who that's going to be. It'll likely be me, but we do want to make sure that that is available to our members at all time. But also, with that being said, our care management staff will educate our members when to use after-hours services and emergency services, with keeping in mind that in addition to advocating for advancement toward self-reliancy and self-sufficiency, one of the goals of care management services is also to minimize the misuse of emergency and hospital services. So that will also be a big part within our plan of care to work with each member as well. And then ultimately, if you have a referral. So at this time, like I said, AHI and White House, we can enroll people on our own. So if you have questions, if you have someone that you're thinking of that potentially could be a good candidate for children's care management services, shoot us an email, give us a phone call. If for any reason one of us isn't available, you can always contact AHI. I do think it's probably easiest if you do reach out to Jason and I directly, and then we can kind of go from there. And that's it.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, does anyone have any questions for Tanya? Okay, great. All right, then we will move forward to our last presenter, Kim. She's with Family Service Association of Glens Falls, a nonprofit organization serving Warren, Washington, and Northern Saratoga counties. They help people in situations that's beyond their resources and guide them toward resolution with kindness, assistance, and support. They provide assistance and support through programs and services like the food pantry, personal care item and infant supply distribution, bus token, including token transit with GGFT, annual programs like Adopt a Family, Feet First, Outdoor Friday distribution on Fridays, weather permitting. And their special needs program is the bulk of their crisis intervention and prevention program. They provide financial assistance, resources, and referrals in cases that relate to homelessness, rent requests, utility payments, emergency prescription assistance, and other cases referred to them that represent an urgent need. So good morning, Kim, take it away.
Good morning. I'm sorry, I didn't know that you were going to read all of that when I sent that little synopsis, but I just wanted to thank Tanya, Jason, and Jamie for those presentations. I think we're a good segue to end this in that we don't necessarily have a goal of long-term care management. We are kind of the immediate stopgap. We're the boots on the ground for the immediate need, and we provide that assistance and then hopefully can direct them to some of these other great agencies that provide long-term and sustainable programs. As you had mentioned, we do have a food pantry that is open 5 days a week. We do serve Warren, Washington, and Northern Saratoga counties. We also provide personal care items and infant supplies. We have formula, when now is a little bit challenging time right now, but we do have some formula on the shelves, Infamil. We haven't had a lot of calls for people looking for formula, but if you know of somebody, we do have it. Personal care items can range from simple things like soap, shampoo, lotions to feminine hygiene products and cleaning products, especially when a family is moving into a new apartment. We hope that we can help them get set up and start kind of with a clean slate. We do have bus token distribution. We work a lot with open door clients with that, and we've just started using the token transit with Greater Glens Falls Transit, which is great. Most of our clients do have active phones. They just have to download the app, and we can send them a 24-hour daily pass. We offer that once every 7 days to clients. And so far that's been going really well. They just have to show that pass to the driver. Our annual programs, Adopt a Family and Feet First. Adopt a Family is very large. It runs, of course, during the holidays. We provide gifts, toys, and food to families, and we serve families with children age 2 all the way through high school. We also have our Feet First, which is coming up in August. We serve families that have children entering school, Head Start through high school as well. We provide them with a gift card to buy a new pair of shoes, 7 days of socks, about 2 weeks of school snacks, books, educational supplies. We try and make it a fun distribution event. And with COVID, I've mentioned before, we've always been so impressed on how excited kids are in August to get back to school. So we want to help them get their best foot forward with that. During COVID, we started Outdoor Fridays, which kind of looks like a garage sale outside our building. We offer distribution of clothing, household items, fresh produce. So we hold that every Friday, weather permitting. It's been a wonderful way for us to connect with clients and kind of just talk with them, talk about what's going on in their lives. They love to fill us in. So that's been a huge success. But really, a lot of the bulk of the work that we do every day is in our crisis intervention and prevention program. And we're kind of unique. We don't have a state or national agency umbrella over us. So we are able to help families within our own policies that were developed by the board of directors and kind of changed and updated through the years. Our agency started in 1910 with the goal to help people that were in crisis and meeting them at where they are at that moment. And we've kind of continued that all the way through those years. So some of the cases that we relate to is homelessness, which a lot of that's been talked about today. In our case, we don't have a budget line for adults without children, but we have worked closely with the different counties and Department of Social Services. So if a parent is being housed in a motel and they may have a sanction, DSS will pay for the children, and we try and help for a week or two with the parents. We also help others that are homeless, whether they have children or not, with bus tokens, with food, with resources. We provide copies of their important papers. We're a big advocate for having people keep their important papers with them and keep them close, know where they are. Because anytime they walk into an agency, whether it's a county agency or one of our private agencies, they need those documents to kind of show what their need is and what had happened. And often they have one crumpled paper stuffed in their pockets. So we get copies. We do faxing for them as well. You probably have all heard that saying, oh, the 80s called, they want their fax machine back. Not true in our world. DSS uses that fax machine a lot. National Grid uses the fax machine a lot. So we can provide those services to people. It can cost them a lot of money to fax documents. We don't have the fastest fax machine in the world, but we do try. Rent requests, those are heating up right now. We're getting a lot of rent requests from people that are facing situations, whether it's a car repair, they had to pay to get their car repaired so they can get to work. and now they're short on rent. We've worked through a lot of those recently. Same with utility payments. We work with National Grid and try and either get them set up on a budget plan, a repayment plan, or help them pay that monthly payment. Another area that's been heating up lately is emergency prescription assistance. We will help people who are either underinsured or not insured, or might need help with a copay for life-saving or life-sustaining medication. So we don't help with anything that's a narcotic or has street value, but a lot of the area pharmacies are pretty good working with us and identifying those and helping us get the patients their medication. The other cases that can be referred to us with an urgent need, it can be anything. Antibiotics because somebody has an infection that would fall under the emergency assistance, but something like a specific leg brace or rolling shower chair for someone who has a disability that the insurance won't cover, or a car repair. They paid their rent, they paid their utilities, they paid their daycare, and they need a repair on their car. They can't get to work. And so we can work with them and at least maybe help make a partial payment. We do document everything. Our agency is privately funded through donations primarily. So we work through a lot of generous community members, some companies. We are a partner for the Tri-County United Way, which is also that channels the donations through to different partner agencies. So our funding can be limited at times. And we try and work closely with other agencies and public agencies to try and determine which assistance is appropriate, which immediate needs going to move them out of that crisis, and hopefully get them on a path to more sustainability. And that's tough right now for us because we are ending our fiscal year and we are pretty low on funds, and we're getting a lot of calls. So we're working as best we can to get them connected to other resources, and so that they don't go without some kind of help. Our goal is always to provide some kind of assistance to anybody who calls or comes through the door. So we're very proud that we are able to do that. Working with the homeless right now, it has been a gap in services we have seen, and I'm sure Jason and Jamie can agree because they talked about how full they are. But we've had a lot of people calling us and presenting at our front door as homeless. They have no children, so we don't have any funds budgeted for that. They've gone through different resources and they're not eligible. Either they have a sanction or they may not have followed a policy or a rule at a shelter, and they're back out on the street. And that's something that we're kind of trying to dig a little bit deeper and ask some more questions of how can we get some help and for these folks. We do have quite a few families and couples that are living out of their car. So we can provide them with blankets. We can provide them with some personal cleaning items and refer them again to proper resources. So we're kind of that real quick stopgap. We work with the pillars of the Tri-County United Way, dealing with health, financial, and education. But we're also kind of a resource. So we can find help for people that you might not think is out there. We connect them to navigators for health insurance. We connect them to SNAP enrollers. We really just try and find the right help for people at that moment. We also can work with families that are at or just above the poverty level, but also that term ALICE, the asset limited, income constrained employed. We have probably about 30 to 40% of our cases are ALICE. So they don't always qualify for other services because they might just be a little bit above income. But when we do the whole financial track with them, you realize when you're paying rent, which we know has been going up in this area quite a bit, and paying daycare, going to work, paying for the gas, there's not anything left over at the end of the month. So if something happens, they miss work because a child is sick during COVID, missing work because, schools were back to home learning, it really put a challenge on a lot of families' budgets. So we try hard to work with them and see what kind of help we can give them. I think that's just a real quick rundown. Anyone's welcome to give us a call. You can follow us on Facebook for updates on our upcoming Feet First program and whether or not Outdoor Fridays is going to be rained out. You can send anybody over at Outdoor Fridays. We have tables of outreach. We have insurance navigators. We've had Cricket Wireless on site. They actually right now are contracted with the federal connectivity program and are able to give free phones to Medicaid eligible people that are not already enrolled or have a household member enrolled in that program. And I think we've got 6 or 7 of our clients now that have received free phones. So that's been very exciting. And other agencies that provide important services have tabled, and it's a nice way to have a face-to-face kind of informal contact, answer questions, and it's a friendly atmosphere.
That's great. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, if there's someone that feels that the services that they provide would marry well with your mission and what you're doing, they can reach out to you about coming and tabling at
Yes.
sometimes
Yep.
on your Fridays and those types
Yep.
of things. Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They can ask for Rachel. She's scheduling. We have a calendar now. Some days are more, Fridays are more popular than ever, and we only have so much room in our back parking lot.
Right.
But
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna hang on 1 minute. I'm gonna